Hi, this is Cara Pike Inman, and the educational reform that I chose to look at for this assignment was actually UNCW's new quality enhancement program, which is the ETEAL learning experience. And ETEAL stands for Experiencing Transformative Education Through Applied Learning, so it's our new Applied Learning QEP. And this is being put in place in a variety of ways. One of them is a new requirement for graduation that's called Explorations Beyond the Classroom. And part of why I chose this reform is that our office is involved with one of the ways that students can satisfy that experience. They can help satisfy that experience through studying abroad coupled with reflective exercises afterwards and some written reflections. But I actually know very, very little about the reform in general and all of its facets and how it was put in place. And so I wanted to do some research and looking into this particular educational reform. So in terms of the stakeholders for this, the biggest or first stakeholder was a QEP task force. They were, tasked with coming up with this new QEP, figuring out a way to develop it, implement it, publicize it, actually really going through all of Rogers' stages from getting knowledge put out about this new QEP to helping figure out who all the stakeholders were, getting the word out, letting them figure out what they thought about this new idea, getting them through the decision-making process of realizing, gosh, this is something we as a campus need to do, helping implement it, and then evaluating, refining it, and then making sure that it ended up being put in place. So the QEP task force is my first stakeholder. They had to find a plan that would work for accreditation. They had to kind of take all of these applied learning activities that were already happening on campus. So internships, community-based volunteer activities, studying abroad, directed individual studies, undergraduate research, all these different things that were already happening on campus, and pulling them under this one umbrella of supervision and regulation, which is not always an easy thing to do when things have already been going on a certain way for a long time. So that was, part of their mission. They chose to begin this innovation with a pilot program that actually launched in 2011. And so they also kind of had to determine who was going to be part of that pilot group. And they actually picked kind of a few main groups to start with the pilot. One group was going to do outreach in local schools. One group was going to do directed individual studies in the biology departments with some local initiatives. And then another was, the CSURF, the Center for kind of Research at UNCW. So they picked kind of a few of those to be part of their pilot program to kind of test it, see that implementation, evaluate it through them, and then actually put it fully into place. So they're my first group of stakeholders. Second group of stakeholders is the student, because this reform has a direct impact on student learning. It's all about not just letting students have experiential learning opportunities, but really having them reflect on those and see the links between classroom learning and actual applied learning outside of the classroom. So obviously the students are another big set of stakeholders. Students need to understand this whole new set of terms and vocabulary and acronyms that are associated with this reform, so that's a big challenge. And students also need to see the value in it, see how this is something that they can bring to the table for future employers. It's something they can put on their resume, that they can talk about in a job interview, that it's something that actually allows them to have practical experience that they can bring forward as they move on, outside of their collegiate experience. So students definitely are a huge stakeholder in this. The faculty, the staff, and the scholars who are actually on the ground implementing these experiences are another huge set of stakeholders. So these are the faculty who are running, content-rich courses, with applied learning outcomes. These are the staff, like in our office, that are leading study abroad programs. These are the scholars who are supervising research. So all of these people who are actually on the ground, these are internship supervisors, all of that are on the ground, facilitating this ETEAL reform, are definitely some of the main stakeholders. And the QEP task force has done a nice job of kind of following Fullen's first three secrets of, gosh, we're going to throw a big kickoff party when we do this for the staff and for the faculty and make them feel appreciated for their efforts in bringing this to fruition. And we're going to hold town hall meetings, and we're going to hold focus groups and all of this to bring them into the process. So allowing them to collaborate and, so really, again, following Fulton's first 3 secrets in terms of, incorporating all of the other faculty, staff, and scholar stakeholders into this process. So this group is definitely a stakeholder because they're going to need training on how this process works. They're going to need to create courses that will fall under this umbrella. And then again, they're like everyone else, they're going to need to learn the vocabulary that's associated with these types of experiences. Another stakeholder group is the academic advisors. Given that this initiative is a graduation requirement, this is something that they're going to really feel comfortable and competent with and be able to describe it in terms that any UNCW student will be able to understand, since this is something they're all going to need to satisfy for graduation. So they need training about what will work as these explorations beyond the classroom's requirements, what supplemental types of reflections may be required of the students in order to have certain experiences count for this graduation requirement. And they also just need to be able to articulate kind of the merits and the requirements of this experience or this initiative to UNCW students. And then the final stakeholder group, one of the final stakeholder groups is going to be the community, which includes local employers. They are really going to benefit from this by potentially being able to employ interns in their offices, by having students do research that may benefit their organization or may benefit different community initiatives, whether they're environmental or social or whatever aspect they're in. The students may choose to do community service types of projects as their ETIL experience. My pets are going crazy right now. Sorry about that. And, a lot of employers are going to see benefit in being able to have potential employees from UNCW, a student, that they can employ after graduation, that have these problem-solving skills, that have the critical thinking skills that are involved in this initiative. So that's definitely can be a benefit to employers in the community. And then kind of one of the final stakeholders, besides the parents who are paying for their students' education, so obviously have a vested interest, is going to be the SACS accreditation, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, who is UNCW's accrediting body. They want probably to keep UNCW as an accredited institution under their umbrella. They need to make sure that all these activities work under accreditation, and obviously it's a lot easier to to vet a program that's a credit-bearing course taught by a faculty member at a university versus something that's happening at an outside internship site doesn't have any sort of faculty supervision and isn't transcripted, by the university that you're accrediting. So they would be kind of the final main stakeholder. I will say that the folks at UTIL have gone to a lot of lengths to try to get the word out to all these stakeholder groups. They've done everything from, the open forums, emails, posters, the task force meetings, they've even done things on social media with Facebook. They're having a Instagram contest right now of, send a picture in from your ETIL experience. So they've, done pedagogy initiatives with faculty, all kinds of different things, videos, web presence, to really try to get the word out to each of these and targeting each of these different stakeholder groups. So that's this initiative in a nutshell.